Over the past 12 years, I've wasted multiple thousands of hours learning Chinese, and tons of my clients and course members have done the same. In this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 biggest progress killers that waste more time than anything else, and then I'll show you 3 learning accelerators to help you not only stop wasting time, but also learn way faster and more efficiently than the average person. And if you want the complete system that's already helped thousands avoid these mistakes, get our free course and community in the description. Now, let me show you what progress killer number 1 looks like, because I guarantee you've done this. So let's look at how most people learn Chinese. On Monday, they download Duolingo. On Wednesday, they buy a textbook. On Friday, they sign up for italki. The next week, they try Hello Chinese. In month 2, they watch YouTube polyglots. In month 3, they buy Rosetta Stone. And after 6 months of this resource hopping, they still can't have a basic conversation. Sound familiar? Well, this is progress killer number 1, shiny object syndrome, or death by distraction, if you want a more dramatic version. Every time you switch methods, you lose momentum and a ton of compounded progress, if there was any. It's kind of like starting a new workout routine every week and wondering why you're not getting stronger. So I did this for my entire first year with Chinese. Pimsleur, then Chinese Pod, then a private tutor, then Memrise.com, then Anki-Dex, then group classes, then immersion. Each promised to be the solution. Most didn't work very well, and the ones that did took too long to work because I was too distracted. I didn't stick with anything long enough with enough consistency or intensity to see results. Progress killer number 2 is learning the wrong stuff at the wrong time. But even if you use a tool that does technically work, and even if you do stick with it, you can still fail if you use it at the wrong time. For example, my first beginner Chinese textbook taught me Tang Dynasty poetry in chapter 2. And that's before I knew how to say 我要喝水. Also, one of my many tutors spent 2 hours teaching me the 24 traditional Chinese seasons. That's 2 hours of archaic seasonal vocabulary when I couldn't even talk about my hobbies properly. So this is number 2, learning the wrong stuff at the wrong time, or studying whatever seems interesting instead of what you actually need. So Chinese apparently has over 50,000 characters in modern usage, but 1,000 characters covers 90% of everything you'll read. 3,000 characters covers 99% of what you need. Yet most courses teach these characters in completely backwards order. They'll teach you emperor before want, or chrysanthemum before hungry. It's kind of insane. And the same logic applies to words. There are technically over 100,000 words in Chinese in modern usage, but you only need a few thousand to speak fluently, and the most common 10,000 words will allow you to talk about anything you want at any level for the rest of your life. But of course, it makes sense to start with the most common few thousand and build up from there, right? Learning the 2,847th most common word when you don't know the 147th most common word is like learning calculus before basic mathematics. So I'll show you the right order to learn characters and words that accelerates your Chinese learning in just a sec. But first, let's cover the third and final major progress killer in Chinese: broken learning methods. So even if you pick one system and learn high frequency stuff, you can still fail if your methods are broken. So here are the 3 method mistakes that kill progress. The first involves relying too much on rote memorization, such as writing characters 100 times until your hand cramps, or reviewing random word lists over and over again. This is rote learning, and it's how Chinese teachers were taught in school, so it's how they teach foreigners Chinese. It's unfortunately still the most common way of learning words and characters, not just for Chinese, but also words for other languages. And so people tend to think it's the best way, but it's not. It's the worst way. Your brain is not designed for remembering information like this. That's why you forget everything within days. The second broken learning method is avoiding characters. So for example, I'll just learn pinyin first and then characters later, right? This seems logical, but it kills your progress. So for example, in Chinese, 是 can mean to be, matter, city, room, to look at, to try, and about 50 other things. And without characters, the language quickly becomes a confusing guessing game. The third broken learning method is passive learning. This is a sneaky one. Watching Chinese TV shows, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos teaching grammar using mainly English, or using gamified apps. This is all passive learning. So your brain is lazy. it won't retain information unless forced to recall it, right? It's like trying to learn the piano by watching people play the piano. You need active practice with immediate feedback. Now, we designed a system that avoids these broken learning methods for Chinese language learners. If you're interested, it's completely free. The link is in the description below. I'm going to share with you the 3 learning accelerators that achieve this. The first accelerator is about structure, learning the right stuff at the right time. So remember that frequency data I mentioned? That 1,000 Chinese characters cover 90% of everything you'll read and hear in the language, and 3,000 characters covers over 99%. We took that research and we created what we call O.C.L.O, Optimal Character Learning Order. So here's how it works. When you learn a new character, you already know its components. When you learn a new word, you've already mastered its characters. So the more common characters you learn, the more common words you unlock with each new character. Every new word reinforces characters you've already learned. It's compounding learning. Compare this to traditional textbooks where lesson 1 is greetings like 你好 and 再见, and lesson 2 is numbers, and lesson 3 is family, Baba, Mama. Lesson 4 is colors, and lesson 5 is Tang Dynasty poetry. Notice the problem? You learn number 1 in lesson 2, but then it doesn't appear in lesson 3 or 4. Every lesson introduces completely new characters with no connection to what came before or after it. You're memorizing random symbols instead of building a system. There's no connection between lessons, or very little. You're building scattered pieces instead of a foundation. So with proper structure, learning becomes exponential instead of linear. So your 101st character is 10 times easier to learn than your first was, and your 1,001st character is 10 times easier than your 100th. And when you combine this first accelerator of great structure with the second accelerator I'm about to share with you, this synergy creates faster, even exponential progress. So this second learning accelerator taps into 2 superpowers your brain has. Superpower number 1 is pattern recognition. Most Chinese words are 2 characters, right? And in almost all cases, the arrangement of these characters are incredibly logical. So for example, 火车, fire vehicle, is train. Of course, that dates back to when they have to have hot coal to run the steam engines. 火山, fire mountain, is volcano. So once you know 火 means fire, you can guess the meanings of dozens of words. This is exponential vocabulary growth. Compare this to pinyin-only learning, where 火车 and 火山 are just sort of sounds with very little connection to anything else. This is why it's crucial to learn characters as early as possible. And this second superpower will help a ton with that. Superpower 2 is a strong visual memory. Humans are terrible at remembering abstract symbols, but we are amazing at remembering people, places, objects, and actions. So memory athletes use this amazing ability we all have as a technique to memorize hundreds of playing cards in perfect order or thousands of digits of pi. We use it to memorize Chinese characters in seconds using a technique called memory palaces. Right, to take the character 人, for example, instead of writing it 100 times, create a mental movie in your head. Robert Downey Jr. is in your kitchen using a samurai sword to slice a banana. Out pops a naked person covered in goo. Does that sound ridiculous? Good, because ridiculous memories make powerful ones. Boring memories don't. This single scene gives you the pronunciation, that's the Robert Downey Jr., the r sound. It gives you the tone, represented by the kitchen, which is the second tone in 人. It gives you the meaning, that means the person pops out, that covered in goo, being born out of a banana. And the components are sword and banana. So this one vivid scene, created in literally seconds, once you get good at the method, replaces hours of boring rote learning. It's totally possible to learn 50, even 100 plus characters per day with near perfect retention, compared to the 10 to 20 characters maybe per week with rubbish retention with traditional methods. You can also leverage your incredible visual memory to rapidly learn Chinese words using visual mnemonic associations. Now, a lot of times this is not even necessary with Chinese words, because once you know the characters, the words become so logical that you can just learn it through pure repetition. Just like the memory palace technique for characters, this is really fast, and the more ridiculous it is, the better. And you could easily learn 100 words an hour once you get good at it. And you can learn both of these methods as well as hundreds of characters and words by joining our free course and community, link in the description below. So the first accelerator is all about structure. The second is all about methodology, but even with perfect structure and the best methods, you need consistency to compound your gains and avoid wasting time. So really, this third learning accelerator helps you build unstoppable momentum by creating consistent habits that stick. One of the key strategies that I love, that I recommend to everyone, is to, first of all, study for the minimum effective dose. Don't try and study for 3 hours when you're motivated, then 0 when you're busy. Study for 30 minutes or even 15 minutes every single day. Consistency beats intensity every single time. 30 minutes a day for a year equals 180 hours of learning, right? 3-hour sessions per week is 156 hours per year. So it's all about small daily wins. Another strategy you can try is to stack your habits, right? So don't add Chinese study as another responsibility to your already busy day. Instead, add it on to something that you already do, and maybe even replace something that's less healthy, less beneficial for you, something that maybe wastes your time. So instead of scrolling social media during breakfast, review some characters. Instead of listening to music during commutes, do shadowing practice. Instead of watching Netflix before bed, watch Chinese shows with subtitles. There are a ton more things I could teach you about building the right habits and mindset to maintain consistency. But when you complete the sort of start here or onboarding course for our free community, which is really short, you get a free course that's 4 hours of training all about habits. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and get that for free. So there you have it. If you combine great structure with effective methodology and consistency, you'll stop wasting time and you'll start making the kind of progress in Chinese that genuinely shocks you. If you want to see a more in-depth tutorial on how the Memory Palace method works for Chinese characters, watch this video next. It shows you step by step how to create these mental movies that make characters unforgettable.